Hello everyone, I am Dino Prehistoric and welcome to my stream. Today, I kind of realized after watching the previous stream that I kind of messed up in certain facts. So I wanted to make this diagram to kind of explain a little bit about what I kind of stuffed up. So the first thing that I stuffed up in terms of facts was the name of the two continents. So this is kind of a rough drawing of North America. And the water is the division that happened during the late Cretaceous. And these are the two continents and a rough drawing of all the different countries. So you've got Mexico, you've got the US, you've got Canada, and you've got Alaska. So this side is actually Laramidia, and this side is Appalachia. I kind of said the wrong way around the previous time. But what I said about which dinosaurs belonged where is still correct. So on this side, on Appalachia, we still have Appalachiosaurus. These things. And then if we travel on to the other side, we've got Nanukosaurus over here in Alaska, kind of. We've got Albertosaurus and Gorgosaurus over here, and down here and around the North American section, we've got the Rexes, the T-Rex. So this is kind of how all the animals were spread out during the late Cretaceous, and yes, I just wanted to fix that up before we started. Another thing with mods is that it will break the game, so that's kind of what happened yesterday. And so yeah, so I've fixed that up now, I hope. Hello, welcome to the chat, Ghost Bravo 77. Yeah, so, and the other thing was, while the game was lagging yesterday, I didn't really get to showcase the Dromaeosaurids correctly. So I'm not really making anything. Oh wait, no, I am making something actually. I'm planning to make a documentary. So basically I'm looking at a whole bunch of mods and testing them kind of, and getting like a community input into what they want to see in a documentary. So I was just demonstrating a fact I kind of stuffed up in my last stream. And in my last stream as well, it was laggy because of certain mod which I removed. So now I can kind of talk about the Dromaeosaurids that yeah, that you didn't really get to see much last stream. Yes, it's very cool. And also, thanks for following, by the way. I just noticed that. So, yeah, so Laramidia and Appalachia was divided by the Western Interior Seaway. And so before we get into the Dromaeosaurids, there's two famous creatures that were in the Western Interior Seaway, which are Mosasaurus and Tylosaurus. And these are two paleo-accurate mods of them, which is pretty cool to see. So this is Mosasaurus hoffmanni, the largest Mosasaurus species. So Mosasaurus hoffmanni was around 18 meters long, and it weighed nearly 15 tons and packed a punch. It was way more hydrodynamic in terms of swimming compared to the Jurassic World one, which makes it way faster. So the Mosasaurus is estimated at 65 kilometers per hour at top speed, which in other words meant it could travel its own body length in 1 second. So that's pretty terrifying to think about if you're a Mosasaurus's body length away in the water. And the other one is the Tylosaurus. They might be adding baby dinosaurs in the third Jurassic World Evolution 2 game. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? It'd also be very helpful for a documentary, because you don't have to select another species to be it. So yeah, this is Tylosaurus. Tylosaurus is far less heavy than the Mosasaur, and they have a different jaw design. So Tylosaurus's teeth are designed to crush, and while the Mosasaurus was designed for blunt damage. You wanted to be a dinosaur in a park. That would be pretty cool, but there's other games out there you can play as a dinosaur. But they've yet to have an idea of playing a dinosaur in a park. That would be kind of cool. Like first-person dinosaur mode. So these two creatures are in the water in the Western Interior Seaway, along with other creatures like Archelon, the giant turtle, and other famous aquatics. That'd be a good idea. Hybrid. Yeah. It'd be interesting how they would work out a storyline for that, because you'd have a lot of, like, actions you could do. Like, you could completely break the storyline, so I wonder how they'd keep that contained. So, we can now move on to the actual dromaeosaurs that I missed out on last time. So, this is a Atrociraptor. So Atrociraptor is only known from its skull, and they believe it was a dromaeosaurid. And its skull is very special because it's very different to it's very different and unique to the other dromaeosaurids, because it has a very special, powerful bite that was unlike other dromaeosaurs in the area. So this guy lived up north, so it lived in the Alaska, Canada kind of area of Laramidia. So let me go back to my map. So this area and that area of the map would be where you'd find Atrociraptor. For the documentary, I'll also be including a section on Dakotaraptor. Hence the name. It was obviously discovered in Dakota. And this was another late Cretaceous dromaeosaur. So Atrociraptor and Dakotaraptor lived at the same time. It lived at the same time, and in the same continent, and possibly interacted with each other. Not sure how that happened though, because Dakotaraptor, it's definitely more studied than Atrociraptor, but it's still not like, it's not like T-Rex. There's not 60 specimens or whatnot. So the last creature I want to include, while it says Pyroraptor, there's a special trick people use for making documentaries in this game, is having a species and calling it something else. So for this, these guys will be my Dromaeosaurus, which is the species that is named after, the entire clade, which is Dromaeosauridae. So all these are Dromaeosauridae, named after the Dromaeosaurus, which is these guys for my documentary. And I really like the white skin on them with any pattern pretty much, because they belong in the northern section, so they would again live alongside Atrociraptor. And the last two here are not actually late Cretaceous dromaeosaurids. So the Western Interior Seaway didn't exist during the early Cretaceous, it was forming, so it would have been a small river at the time through the middle of the continent, pretty much. And you would have found these two guys in the early Cretaceous. And so this includes Deinonychus. So Deinonychus here is definitely not as big as people thought it was after watching Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park oversized the Velociraptor, which was supposed to be Deinonychus. But the Dromaeosaurus, however, was around this height. That's another reason why I use this animal. And for a Trosiraptor as well, Trosiraptor is also much smaller than in the movie. Trosiraptor here is actually supposed to be around the size of a turkey, which, well, a bit larger than a turkey, but yeah, so that's around the size. And for Dakotaraptor, it was definitely the size of the Jurassic Park one, if not larger. The Dakotaraptor is around 500 kilos in weight, about 6 meters long. Hello, what's up? How are you going? So Dakotaraptor is definitely more like the Velociraptor of Jurassic Park than the others. Of course, all these guys are feathered because all the Dromaeosaurids are part of the Maniraptora clade, and the Maniraptora clade is basically, simply put, all the bird-like dinosaurs, including birds. So all of them had feathers, is what we currently understand. That's good. I'm doing good as well. So the last Dromaeosaurid in North America that I want to include in my documentary is Utahraptor, which is this guy. This is actually the frontier model, so this isn't a mod. Just like the Pyroraptor, which we're going to be calling Dromaeosaurus. These two aren't mods, they are Frontiers model, so the in-game model. But because they are both pretty paleo-accurate, I don't mind not having a mod for them, because the mods kinda suck for them, not gonna lie. So yeah, that's the Dromaeosaurids. If we were to put them on our map, we would remove Utahraptor and Deinonychus, and I'll put the others on our map. I don't really have a favorite dino, but I think my favorite dino is probably Spino. Spinosaurus is just a really cool animal. It's really unique. And, yeah. Do you have a favorite dino? So Trosiraptor would belong up around here. Deinonychus doesn't exist on our map. Utahraptor again doesn't exist on our map. And the other Deinonychus also doesn't exist on our map. The other Trosiraptor can go with them. Velociraptor's a good choice. Yeah. Definitely very different from the Jurassic Park one, but still really cool. Yeah, I can see you spelled it wrong. It's an I instead of A for that part. Velociraptor. Dakotaraptor obviously belongs in the Hell Creek Formation along with the Tyrannosaurs. And the dromaeosaurids will belong in our Canada part. And so yeah, that's kind of our map of the late Cretaceous right now. And well, these two creatures would obviously be in this thing, but I haven't made it into a lagoon, so I can't place them there yet. So what kind of group of dinosaurs do you want to see next from the North American? No, I'm not building a massive new pen. I'm doing a documentary, and so for the late Cretaceous, which is the last period the non-avian dinosaurs existed in, I've built a map of North America, kind of. So you've got Canada, Canada, Alaska, you've got North America, and you've got the edge of Mexico. And so these are the two paleocontinents that existed during the late Cretaceous. So you've got Laramidia, and you've got Appalachia. Yes, very cool. So this side had most of the famous ones that people would know of from North America. This one, Appalachia, doesn't fossilize very well. We have very fragmented remains from there. So, yeah. But one of the cool dinosaurs from there is Appalachiosaurus. Really cool, long-clawed. It's a tyrannosauroid, so it's like T-Rex, but it's not T-Rex. And it's definitely closely related, but not exactly. It's not. This game isn't actually multiplayer, but you can play the game. Yeah, when you get a PC. Yeah. So we can look at some herbivorous dinosaurs this time, because we've kind of neglected them since now. And we'll still be looking at the late Cretaceous and early Cretaceous. So we'll start off with I guess we'll start off with the ceratopsians. So, like this one. And there's actually plenty. There's like millions of ceratopsians that exist on Laramidia. And the ceratopsians lived a lot longer than some of the predators that hunted them, which is really interesting. And all ceratopsians have a slightly different design. I've spent over 300 hours on this game so far. No joke. Yeah, yep. Definitely crazy. Okay, so let's take a look at Centrosaurus. So Centrosaurus is pretty cool. It's been found in a mass extinction event that happened where a whole herd of over 1,000 individuals alongside some predators that were hunting them were killed off in a flash flood. And so it's really interesting, and we know quite a lot about this animal. And so this guy's, even though it's in the late Cretaceous, it's not quite as late as on our map. So it would go on Laramidia, but it wouldn't exist with the other predators here. Centrosaurus would actually coexist with the Daspletosaurus, the Tyrannosaur we saw last time. But this next guy would definitely coexist with the other dinosaurs. I've tried making... Yes, I have made dinosaur parks in this game. Where do you think I got the experience to start doing mods and stuff? Because you have to still play the campaign and stuff, which is all about the park building, and then I've made parks and stuff, and now I'm making a documentary. So yeah. Yes, a lot of people build parks. So Chasmosaurus existed again in kind of the Canada region, as well as in the US. This game does have good textures. I am using mods to give them paleo accurate models though. So that's what I'm doing. And it's kind of mod testing, that's what I've been doing. So yeah, so this is a mod to make this animal more paleo accurate than the in-game version. Next is a creature that's not in the actual base game, but I got it through a mod. And so this is Enosaurus, another ceratopsian existent on Laramidia. Pretty much all of these actually are Laramidian. It seemed to be where all the ceratopsians existed. So Enosaurus is very interesting because of this weird horn it has. Instead of being a spike and a weapon it could use, it's kind of bent and only used for display, which is very unique for ceratopsians. And yeah, so it's a really interesting animal. This is Avaceratops that we're releasing now. One of the smaller ceratopsians, and it's one of the smallest horned ceratopsians as well. Again, I'm not sure, I don't know much about this particular ceratopsian. I might have to search some more info up about it. But I'm pretty sure this guy is again Laramidian. I don't know how many ceratopsians actually have been found on Appalachia, because all the remains there are fragmentary. And so we don't know much about it. We know a bit about the ecosystem, but not enough to comfortably say stuff. What do you mean if the bones have been found in real life? All these animals have been discovered, and you can't find the bones because they're fossils. So fossils are rocks which just are cast of the real bones. So all the dinosaurs I'm showing are not the hybrids. The hybrid ones are the ones that don't look cool. Well, I mean, they do look cool, but they don't look real. So this is Nasutoceratops, the bull ceratopsian, as it's referred to. This one lived slightly before, this one lived slightly before the time we're trying to set this, Paleo, late Cretaceous setup, but it still lived in the late Cretaceous and was most definitely hunted. Nasutoceratops was most definitely hunted by Gorgosaurus and others like it. The most common dinosaur, that's kind of hard to say, because it depends on where you're finding them. Alright, so which Pachyrhinosaur should I do? We've got this one, or this one. So option 1, 2, or 3. 2. Yes, I do have all the dinosaurs in the game, so I've got all the DLCs that you can get for this game. And then I've also added more with mods. Okay, so this is, when it shows up, this is Pachyrhinosaurus, the second variant, because we selected the second one. Yeah, it's definitely beautiful, definitely also a unique one. So instead of a horn, Pachyrhinosaurus has this kind of bulb on its head, and it's used for ramming. So it was more like a bludgeon instead of like a spear or like a more stabby kind of weapon that other ceratopsines had. This guy directly lived in the regions that contain both the Nanooksaurs, these guys, and the Albertosaurs and Gorgosaurs were all hunting Pachyrhinosaurus, as well as some of the other ones. So Pachyrhinosaurus, Enosaurus, and Chasmosaurus were definitely being hunted. I don't remember much about Avaceratops, the small guy. And Centrosaurus went extinct before that. There are plenty of really tall dinosaurs, I'll get into them in a bit. I'm still releasing all the ceratopsines. Okay, so there is actually 2 variants of Triceratops. So there's this one, which fought... This guy was like the primitive Triceratops. So this one lived before Tyrannosaurus Rex and fought Tyrannosaurus Rex's ancestor, Tyrannosaurus macransus, that I talked about last time. And then Horridus, Triceratops horridus, is the big Triceratops that many people will recognize, and it fought the Rex that we've actually got. So I will create this one, but the other one will most definitely be in the documentary for the macransus versus... I forgot what the Triceratops' species name was. Alright, so now we'll release Pentaceratops. So this one's another cool one. It's got a really interesting crest design. So Pentaceratops means 5-horned face because of the 5 kind of spikes you can find. So you've got the 1, 2, 3 horns. You've got the nose horn and the 2 brow horns, and then these two spikes on the frill here are considered the 5th and 4th horn of the animal, even though they're not necessarily horns, they're more like spikes. Which is really interesting. This guy is a medium to large kind of size ceratopsian, and lived alongside stuff like Triceratops as well, and Pachyrhinosaurus and Chasmosaurus, and the Zeudoceratops. All of them kind of lived in similar times and lived with each other, but just went extinct at different times. So after the Centrosaurus moves, we'll release Styracosaurus. So Styracosaurus is very similar to Centrosaurus, but this guy lived all the way up to the so-called belief time of the extinction event. So this guy was most definitely hunted by all kinds of predators on Laramidia. So far all these guys I'm fairly certain are Laramidian. Again, just gonna point that out. So you can kind of see, looking at the two, so Centrosaurus kind of has a similar horn, but they've just got different frill structures, which is very interesting. So yeah, this is Styracosaurus. Titanoceratops. Okay, there we go. Alright, so this is Titanoceratops. So Titanoceratops is one of the largest ceratopsians. It is a really cool animal. And it is one of the largest ever discovered. Definitely, its skull surpassed the weight of the Triceratops skull, I believe. And has these impressive, almost antler-looking horns, and its frill was very wide. And this guy was definitely more similar to Chasmosaurus, Pentaceratops, and some of the other ceratopsians. So the second last creature for a long time was believed to actually be Triceratops. I'm showing all the variants. What do you mean all the variants? So variants are the different models, so they look slightly different. Is that what you mean? Anyway, so yeah, so did I answer your question? Okay. So Torosaurus, for a long time was believed to actually be an adult form of Triceratops, because only teenagers were discovered of Triceratops and only adults were discovered of Torosaurus. But eventually, oh, this guy's in the ground. Amazing mod design. It'll pop up eventually. So, Torosaurus was originally thought to be a Triceratops, but then they eventually discovered juvenile Torosaurus and adult Triceratops, and so we actually realized that these guys were different animals after originally thinking they were different animals, if that makes sense. So Torosaurus means perforated lizard because in its frill, where you can see the two colors are, in the actual bones, there's holes in the frills to make the frill lighter, so that, yeah. And Torosaurus is absolutely massive, equal in size to Triceratops and possibly even Titanoceratops. And this guy would most definitely lived alongside, this guy definitely lived alongside T-Rex. and definitely fought and killed T-Rex, without a doubt. I mean, look at the horns. And now for the huge Triceratops. So, another one in the ground. So good. Triceratops and Torosaurus were massive. They believed that they weighed double the weight of an African elephant, so possibly over like 10 tons. So over 10,000 kilos. So absolutely huge animals, even larger than some of the largest tyrannosaurs. And so yeah, so this is Triceratops. So a difference between Triceratops and Torosaurus, like over there, is first off the horn shape, and second off the actual frill. So unlike Torosaurus, which had a larger sized frill, Torosaurus's frill would have been heavier if it was actually filled in. But the Triceratops skull is actually heavier because this frill was clearly used for armor as well. Because there's actually no holes in the frill, which meant it was absolutely massive. And new research we realized that all ceratopsians, or at least the largest of them, had osteoderms. So osteoderms are pieces of bone that are fused into the scales. So all these dots here are osteoderms. So crocs have osteoderms, and all sorts of lizards also have osteoderms. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, between Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops, they're equally matched. These two, basically, the two groups of ceratopsians and then the Tyrannosaurs basically went in an arms race during the late Cretaceous to see who could become the bigger and stronger animal as time went on. And so these guys both equally have a chance of killing each other, both equally have a chance of winning the fight, and both are just as dangerous. Like, if you were, like, in the late Cretaceous, you would just as much not want to be next to this guy as you would a T-Rex, because this guy's like a bull. They literally thought it was a bull when they first discovered it, but it was absolutely massive. So yeah, that's ceratopsians. I'll put them on our map. And in the meantime, because you asked for it, we'll get these massive guys. So we're going to talk about the late Cretaceous, early Cretaceous, and late Jurassic sauropods, because there's not many of them, but they're absolutely huge and brilliant. So Alamosaurus is the late Cretaceous. This guy here, Poseidon, is one of the largest, and this is our early Cretaceous. Then we've also, while this is Camarasaurus, I'm going to include this species as Ostodon. So this is the late Cretaceous Ostodon. Then we're going to also, pretty much all of these guys actually are all included. So we've got a super cool Apatosaurus. And then we're also going to include Brachiosaurus. Brachiosaurus is definitely strong. They're absolutely massive. definitely right about that. Not gonna argue with that. It's fine, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how to spell Brachiosaurus either. Brachiosaurus was, most sauropods are definitely way larger and way stronger than most tyrannosaurs. They still have a chance to take them down, but you know, it's a very big risk. And to be honest, the tyrannosaurs weren't really designed to take on sauropods because not many sauropods actually lived in their environment. They kinda died out by the end. There was only one major sauropod, and it lived around here. It lived in Mexico, kinda, so just beyond the range of T-Rex, and it was Alamosaurus, so we would probably actually have to create, like, a little section for my Alamosaurus. There, so this is where Alamosaurus. Well, there's kind of a... It's hard to say because there's a difference between, like, strength and size, you know? But to be honest, sauropods do actually have to have enough strength in order to, like, keep their body weight up and stuff as well. And, like, just the size of the massive ones would be way stronger than any other dinosaur. So I'd have to go with the largest dinosaur. Oh. You start. Oh, shoot. I forgot about that. Oopsie. Yeah. That won't happen again, guys. Well, sauropods, we believe sauropods had a long neck so that they could just move their neck and just, like, you know, eat the leaves of trees and stuff, and without actually having to move their legs a lot. So they'd only they would move their legs, like, not often, but they would just they just have to move their neck, and then boom, they found more food. That's why that we believe that it was so long. So they eat the leaves of trees, to answer your question. Definitely. So we're just gonna have to wait for the Centrosaurus to get moved, unfortunately, before we can release. Okay, so now we can actually release the first sauropod. And this is Alamosaurus. So, Alamosaurus is absolutely massive. It's one of the largest. It's one of the largest sauropods, and definitely one of the heaviest sauropods discovered in North America. It's also the only late Cretaceous North American sauropod that has any significance. So people to this thing, if I can actually, yeah, get there. Oh yeah. People, actually wait, no, I can do this. So this is a person to the massive animal. This is the first person camera. So this is me, compared to the massive animal. So yeah, this guy's absolutely massive. And I mean, look at it lying down. I can't even climb. I wouldn't be able to climb this. Yes, absolutely huge. So these guys are believed to weigh over 70 tons in weight, the Alamosaurus. So, yeah. And they get even bigger during the early Cretaceous. So I'm gonna release the Astodon before I release Sauroposeidon. So this one's one of the smaller sauropods, but it's still absolutely huge when you compare it to an elephant. Because if you think about it, that's 14 times heavier than an elephant. The Alamosaurus is nearly 14 times as heavy as an elephant, which is just crazy. So this guy definitely would have been more likely prey, and so this is our Astodon for the late Cretaceous. Early Cretaceous. So this guy, you can kind of see it's still huge. You know? Still huge. But just not as big as Alamosaurus. So that's Astodon. And now I'm going to release one of the tallest sauropods ever. So just hold your breath. This guy's going to be absolutely massive. Yep, it is absolutely massive. I mean, look at that neck. So this is Sauroposeidon. This is the tallest dinosaur ever discovered. At 18 meters tall, it is 3 times taller than the average elephant. Yeah. And it weighed... I'm not actually even sure how much it weighed. So let's take a look at our 1.8 meter tall person. So just look at the height of this thing. I can literally go underneath it. I don't know about destroy the world, but they'll definitely cause problems for people if they were still alive today. Like, they're not they're not going to do that just because they want to. They'd only do that because they just do end up doing it. Yeah. So, already, even sitting down, just look at the height. I wouldn't, like, bruh. It's massive. So yeah, that's the largest dinosaur we've discovered so far. Not the heaviest. But yeah, it's absolutely massive. Thank you, Remy Raptor, for following. That's very nice of you. I mean, technically they're working on bringing back dinosaurs, but they're not planning on, like... They're not gonna be able to bring back a sauropod. That's just, like, unrealistic. It wouldn't survive in our environment. There's not enough oxygen to support such massive body sizes. Okay, so the next two dinosaurs, sauropods... Well, actually there's more, because they still have to create the others. I don't remember which one's taller, actually. Alright, guys. 1 or 2. We've got an option, 1 or 2. Alright, we're going with 2. Everyone else watching agree too? Alright. I think actually this one might be the smaller one. But oh well. Okay. So, we are now moving on to the Jurassic dinosaurs. So, this is Apatosaurus. Well, so talking about the meteor, talking about wiping out the dinosaurs, it didn't actually wipe out all of them. Because birds are now believed to be 100% fully fledged dinosaurs. So, they never wiped out, and dinosaurs still remain the most dominant animals to ever exist and still exist. Because dinosaurs still stop mammals from being able to fully dominate the world, because dinosaurs dominated the seas and the skies and the land, but the mammals have been stopped and cut off from dominating the skies. And yeah, crocodiles are not exactly dinosaurs. They are very closely related. They're both reptiles, but crocodiles aren't dinosaurs. They're just closely related. Anyway, so this is the first Jurassic sauropod we're looking at. So this is Apatosaurus, and again, another huge one, and it's really cool. So, yep, there's the size. I really like the osteoderms on this one. So it's just got a really cool design. I like the colors. And yeah, it's super cool. And we've got Sauroposeidon blocking the hatchery, so I can't release. The Apatosaurus would have been hunted by dinosaurs like Allosaurus. So this was a Jurassic, so this lived in the Morrison Formation, which is the layer of rock it was discovered in. So the most identified rock layer. So the most well-studied rock layer that's not today is the Hell Creek Formation in terms of paleontology. So that's the one with T-Rex. So the rock layer with T-Rex is the most well-studied extinct ecosystem. The second most well-studied is the Morrison Formation of North America during the Jurassic, which was before the late Cretaceous and early Cretaceous. So yeah, so this guy was hunted by Allosaurus, which is really cool. Okay, so next up we're finally moving on to Brachiosaurus. Okay, so an interesting fact is that the Brachiosaurus in Jurassic Park is actually based off an African sauropod called Giraffatitan. It's not actually based off Brachiosaurus. And so this is the real Brachiosaurus. It looks similar to Giraffatitan. They were most definitely relatives. And again, it was huge. So about the same size as Alamosaurus, but less thick. Essentially. Yeah, you can really see this one's thicker. So this is the real Brachiosaurus. So the one in Jurassic Park was based off the Giraffatitan, which, interestingly, was the African Jurassic sauropod. So, yeah, it's really cool. I do have that, but not in the game at the moment. I do have that mod saved for the African section of my documentary that I'm going to make. So I will include Giraffatitan. And I will most definitely include that fact. Why are they all circling the hatchery? I can't release the last two. Alright, so we'll release Camarasaurus. So this is the model I'm going to be using for the real Camarasaurus. The other Camarasaurus I released earlier is going to be Astodon for the early Cretaceous. This one again is Jurassic. So Brachiosaurus, Apatosaurus, and Camarasaurus lived alongside each other and Allosaurus. And yeah, so they shared the ecosystem, and so it's really cool to see these guys. They definitely don't want food, because I just said dinosaurs, herbivores don't starve, and they don't want water, because first off it's right here, second off I said they can't dehydrate. So they're definitely just herding. Yeah, they're just grouping. They're happy, see? Comfort 100%. And the last creature is the Diplodocus, the last Jurassic creature that exists in the Morrison Formation that I'll include. And we might have actually picked the larger one. There are pterodactyls in the game. For the last creature group we can definitely do the American pterosaurs. So this is Diplodocus. So very different to the other sauropods. This guy and Apatosaurus are both kind of more long instead of tall. And these guys are doing a perfect size comparison right now. Except this guy's getting down. It's moving. Yeah. And also, you spelt pterodactyls wrong, because pterodactyls spelt with a P. That's a pretty well known fact by now. It's PT. So Diplodocus is one of the most famous Jurassic sauropods, next to Brachiosaurus, and then Apatosaurus is a close third. Camarasaurus would be the fourth. All four of these sauropods that I've talked about, so that one, this one, the red one, and pretty sure that guy over there, I don't remember which one I said. This all lived in the same place, so they all lived in the same place, they were all hunted by the same apex predators, and yeah, so that's pretty cool. So that's the sauropods. So let's go clear them out so that we can move on. And I'll put the not Amargasaurus. Yeah, no, Alamosaurus. I'll put the Alamosaurus into our map as well. It definitely would have been a pretty cool sight to see dinosaurs back in their time. The world would have been very different. Especially during the Jurassic. During the Jurassic, there were no flowering plants. It's pretty interesting. So there'd be no flowers, but there'd be other beautiful kind of plants that you could see. Flowering plants only showed up in the late Cretaceous, whereas when we're talking about the Jurassic, so that means Brachiosaurus, Diplodocus, Margosaurus, they never saw flowers. And that means Allosaurus never saw flowers either. That's really interesting. And that means stuff like Stegosaurus and stuff as well also never saw flowers. And they also actually never saw grass. Grass wasn't existent in the Jurassic period. Even though most people think of grass as like one of the most primitive primitive plants you can get, grass is actually complex. And, yeah. So here's our Alamosaurus. Moving in. Okie dokie, we're in. So, for the pterosaurs, there's Geostombergia, Quetzalcoatlus, and Pteranodon as the three pterosaurs that existed during the late Cretaceous North America. I don't remember what pterosaurs existed during the other periods, so I'm definitely going to have to search that up. So here's our modded Quetzal variant. It definitely does not look like the Indoraptor, that's just what it looks like. I really like their skin that they made for it, it's really cool. And for the Pteranodon, I actually really like the Pteranodon skin of Jurassic, of the second movie, which we never got to see. So this is the Pteranodon 1997 skin, which is the Lost World. So those Pteranodons are going to be the Pteranodons that we see. So these are the three pterosaurs we see. Alright, so, I will have to actually set up some fish for them because they need to eat fish. And the sun's going down. Oh yeah, so this is another thing. Last time, if for those who haven't seen last time, I do have a mod for invisible fish feeders, which means that they look like they're actually in the river instead of like looking like artificial. They're really cool. So we'll just make a few of them, and we'll release Geosternbergia. So this is Geosternbergia. Geosternbergia is a really cool pterosaur. It existed alongside the other two pterosaurs that I've already mentioned, and it lived on both continents because of their secret ability to fly. So that means if I were to put those guys on the map, they would be on both sides, which is pretty cool. It's cool to know that we actually have evidence that they flew the distance. And so yeah, it's really cool. So Geosternbergia as well. They're already fishing. So Geosternbergia is the Jurassic World Evolution 2 model. So this isn't a mod. This is the in-game version because it's actually it's a really paleo accurate version. I really like it. And now let's release one of the largest pterosaurs to ever fly. This is Quetzalcoatlus. So, this is Quetzalcoatlus. So, this is one of the largest animals to fly. It had the wingspan of a Spitfire, if you know what type of plane that is. It's about 11 meters in wingspan, and it definitely weighed around 250 kilos. So, yeah, absolutely massive. And this is the skin that the mod makers added to it. So some key differences between it and the Jurassic World Dominion model is the jaws slightly different and the crest is slightly different, and I like this one so much more. It's just really cool. Yes, the Quetzal is definitely big. And this is the Pteranodon, most commonly mistaken for pterodactyl. So whenever you whenever people see the pterosaurs that look like this, people always keep saying, "Oh, it's pterodactyl," but this is actually Pteranodon. So pterodactyl isn't actually a genus. Pterodactyl is actually the group that contains all the flying reptiles that don't have long tails, if that makes sense. So they were considered advanced flyers. Let's look at the Quetzal again. So this guy here is another mod. So most of the creatures I've showcased are mods, I would have said if they're not mods. So this guy is the Lost World Pteranodon that we barely got to see in the movie, except for the very end. Woolly mammoths are definitely related to elephants, and they only showed up during the Ice Age. So they lived literally like less than 1% of the time the dinosaurs ruled for, which is a pretty interesting fact. So yeah, that's all our pterosaurs. And the last creature I would like to showcase before I end it off, because I'm going to run out of time to continue, if I can find it. Is Titanus. So this is a really cool animal. So this is a dinosaur that existed after the extinction event. So this guy lived in the oh crap, not that one. So the terror birds, like Titanus, existed in the age of the mammals, and the what people don't understand is that the dinosaurs actually took over control after they went extinct, which is really interesting. So these guys came back after the extinction and decided to try and replicate what their ancestors did and what like other lineages that went extinct did. And so the Titanus is a group of birds which are very cool, very famous, and very deadly. And so this is the terror bird. And these guys are called Titanus. They are the North American terror bird, and they appeared in North America after South America finally connected with North America, because they were disconnected when after the asteroid hit, and so that means in the south there were actually plenty of terror birds that kind of existed alongside lots of armadillo-like creatures. And then eventually the two continents connected through Mexico and the other countries. And one of the most powerful and largest terror birds is Titanus, that actually made it into the northern hemisphere. So yeah, this is a really cool animal. I wanted to include it in the documentary to just explain that the dinosaurs actually fought back, and it was only because of the climate. When the Ice Age happened, that the dinosaurs actually lost their touch to actually continue to conquer the lands like the terror birds did. But I mean, there still are like birds like the terror birds. So you've got like cassowary, for example. Many people would call that a velociraptor-like animal. This guy would too. The turtle-looking dinosaur What do you mean turtle-looking dinosaur? You mean this thing? Yes? No? This thing? This thing? No? Is it small, medium, or large? Do you remember this thing? This one? Yes? Do you mean this one? So this is actually a turtle. This is a turtle. This isn't a dinosaur. This is a turtle. And it's also a mod. You want to see the turtle? We can see the two turtles. Yes, I know what you're talking about now. So you actually want the turtle. Okay. Let's go find the turtle. This one? There's actually another turtle, because this is a turtle mod that I found. I thought that would be really cool. So, turtles. Yes. Let me actually go ahead and see if I can find the other turtle. Might actually be a medium. There's the other turtle. This is the last turtle. And then there's actually an aquatic turtle. You want to see the aquatic turtle? Well, actually, there's quite a few. So you got this one, and this one. We can look at those too if you want. Yes? Okie dokie. So this guy actually isn't a turtle. This is convergent evolution. So convergent evolution is where an animal lives in the same environment with the same conditions, so it evolves the same traits, so it ends up seeming like it's the other animal, but it's actually not related. But I mean, they're still kind of related because they're both reptiles. So yeah. But these are all. So all of them are turtles except for this one. So yeah, really cool. Turtles, nah, they were all shapes and sizes during different times. They were small, they were huge, they were small again. So, turtles, the aquatic sea turtles got huge. The tortoise, the land ones, also got very interesting. So, we'll start off with the smallest. This guy's actually Triassic, so this is before the Jurassic and Cretaceous. And look at them go. It's so cute. So, in terms of timeline, so Jurassic, in terms of timeline, in terms of the Mesozoic era, which is the era known as the era of the dinosaurs, you have the Triassic, the first era, then you have a mass extinction, and then you get the Jurassic, which contains the Brachiosaurus, Allosaurus, and then you get the Cretaceous, which contains the Rex and Triceratops. So these guys showed up, I believe, either in the Jurassic or the Triassic, because turtles actually existed then. And yes, they're really cool. So yeah, that's the turtle. Then we've got this one. So these guys are much bigger. They're super cool. So, I still need to learn how to pronounce their names, actually. Basilonemes, basal lemmies, and megalocelles. Yeah, big turtle. Yeah, so really cool model. Again, all the turtles except for the Archelon are mods, but this Archelon is the so this is a variant mod. So this is a more paleo-accurate version than the one in the game. So yeah, we'll release this one first. So Archelon is the largest turtle to ever swim the oceans. It was literally 2 tons in weight, so not as big as the dinosaurs, but in terms of turtles, it's huge. So this guy actually lived along, so this was the other creature that lived alongside these 2 mosasaurs we see here. So Mosasaurus hoffmanni and Tylosaurus prolifibeta, I think, lived alongside Archelon. And these guys were definitely some preyed upon by the Tylosaurs, because the Tylosaurs have a bone-crushing bite, which meant that they could get through the shell of Archelon, while Mosasaur had a different strategy. So, yeah, that's really interesting. In the game, however, the Archelons are invincible. Nothing can attack them. So then, do you want the last land turtle, tortoise, or do you want the pick one? So 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3. Pick one. Are you gonna pick one? We'll start off with the land turtle, I guess. So these guys are slightly smaller, but they're also slightly... These guys were Cenozoic, so this is after the dinosaurs. When turtles tried to protect themselves from other creatures. Oh. A bit late for the message. This is 3. I'll release 2 next, though. So these guys are interesting because they actually have a tail. They have, well, all turtles have a tail, but they actually have a tail that they could hit stuff with. So this is a similar concept to the ankylosaurs, actually. So these things, they had a similar design to these things, which is really interesting. And it was due to the increase in predators in the area, like Titanus, which is really cool. I see. Alright, so we'll release Protostega now. So Protostega is a second species of turtle that existed in the Western Interior Seaway. So this turtle lived alongside the other turtles and the other mosasaurs, so these guys had stronger armor and they had a bit of a different diet compared to the other guys. So yeah, these guys are really cool. Look at that happy face. And then we'll release the non-turtle. That's because they are sea turtles. These 2 are the largest. They're the largest turtles, full stop, because they're sea turtles. So this guy is not a turtle, but it actually evolved the same way as a turtle. It's just not related to them at all. It's just another reptile that evolved armor. And these guys are way smaller, and I'm not even sure which time period they lived in. Yes. They're nicknamed pancakes for a reason. So yeah, they're kind of cute. They have a really interesting face, and yeah. You can kind of see with the the way their skin works, that you can kind of see they're very different to Archelon and others. So yeah, we still do have a bit more time. Is there any other things you want to look at that you've spotted in my list that I'm okay with including? The woolly mammoth, of course. I completely forgot I have mammoth. Alright, so this isn't woolly mammoth, but it's Colombian mammoth, so it lived a bit more southern, and it lived after the dinosaurs, and so it also lived when the North American continent was back together. So it lived on this side. It lived on this side, but it lived before the ice, and it also lived after the after that water dried up. A lonely Alamosaurus over there. Poor guy, how you doing? Scientists are actually trying to bring back this species. So here is our elephant. So these guys were hunted by humans. They were hunted by the big cats. Well, the saber-toothed cats, which are Smilodon. But they're not actually cats. They're not felines, but they're very closely related, which is really interesting. And so far this stream, we don't actually have any lag this time, which is way better. So these are the Colombian mammoth. So yeah, really cool animals. And they're already panicking. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching this stream. I'm gonna have to wrap it up here. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting this stream. You know, talking, having a chat. I really enjoy that. And yeah, so if you want to see the if you want to see another stream, you can follow me, because then you get notifications about when I actually start streaming, because I don't have a clear schedule right now. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I'll see you. I'll probably stream soon, maybe. Yeah, thanks for watching.